Hello, YouTube universe. So I am broadcasting from a remote location. What you hear in the background is the sound of bouncing back, of reopening. There is landscaping going on all around me, lawns being mowed, and preparations beginning to reopen the economy. And I know this is happening all over the world, which is extremely exciting. We've waited a long time. I realize many of you are in places that are still under lockdown, and many of you are in places that have already began to transition towards the new normal of reopening. Some of you probably are in areas that are almost completely reopened with some basic differences such as social distancing. But I think the majority of us are definitely in a new normal zone where things are not the same as they used to be. But the good news is that there is improvement. There is certainly signs of things getting back to somewhat of a normal. And I'm just closely watching what's happening around me and the signs of reopening, and how do people respond the moment that they're able to go to malls, for example, and restaurants. Are they just packing those locations? And it actually seems that they are. So I was a bit concerned, and I still am, that even once businesses are allowed to reopen, that consumers would be a bit slow to resume frequenting types of business where there are rules such as social distancing, and everyone's concerned about possibly being exposed to the virus from another customer. Now, I think there is a tremendous amount of concern, and it will certainly affect businesses in a dramatic way, and businesses will need to adapt. But there are plenty of people willing to just jump back out there and get back into malls and crowds and everything else. It seems that most people I'm seeing, at least, are wearing masks. However, a lot of people aren't too concerned with social distancing. So the ups and downs of that, the downside of that, of course, is we could see some resurgences as we began to see around the world in different countries, from China to others. It has happened a bit here and there. At the same time, overall, it seems that things are improving. Now, what I really find peculiar is looking back on this with all of the geniuses and the scientists and the experts and the World Health Organization and all of the great scientific bodies of the world. It seems like what this comes down to, we've effectively addressed the COVID-19 pandemic not through rocket science, but basically staying home, not going out, and being distant from others for a period of time. And if only we had known that back in early January, around the time of the Chinese New Year, if only we'd known, stop traveling, restrict flights, stay home for a few weeks, don't be close to other people, tens of thousands, if not more, of lives would have been saved, and hundreds of thousands of infections or more would have been saved. So as many economies begin to reopen on a state level, on a country level, it's not that there's a cure, it's not that there's a vaccine, it's just that people are being intelligent, they're being distant, they're being controlled in terms of where do they go, when do they go, avoiding crowds, basically social isolation. And all of this seems quite simple. So the question I'm asking is, why couldn't we have known this in the beginning? It seems like 5 or 10 people sitting around in a room, just average people, could have sat around and come up with some of these guidelines. There's a virus spreading like crazy. Look what it's doing to China. Let's be smart. Let's shut down travel. Let's stay distant from each other for a period of time. And had we just done that, things would be so much better. As we reopen, we're reopening based on that premise of social distancing. As you hear more sounds of progress and reopening, there's construction going on and everything in all directions. Everyone's just excited to get back to work. But I just find it amazing how simple in the end, at the end of all of this, of course we need a cure and a vaccine, but regardless of that, just staying away from each other for a while seems to be all that it took to get economies reopened. And had we known that early, we'd be so much further ahead than we are now. Thank you for joining.